Hello everyone. So we stopped in a very important point. So what I was telling, according to the code, you press the button, LED is on, that's fine. At the next moment, you take your hand off. So at the very moment you take your hand off, this digital read value will become what? You take your hand off from the button. So the 33 value will become plus 5. Okay, 1. So x will become 1 at the very moment, because this void loop is going to run at each and every moment very fast. So when you take your hand off, at the next iteration of the void loop, this x will become 1. So this if condition will not be working because this is false. So the code will skip this all and move to line number 17. Okay, so what will happen? Nothing is there. Okay, nothing is there, I mean what? Did you switch off the LED? No. Did we write any code that says digital write 31 low? No, we never wrote over one. So LED will not be switched off. Why? Because we didn't write it. There's an empty code. So this will be skipped, but empty code is there. Okay. So again next iteration will start. You didn't press the button yet. Okay, you took your hand off already. So x is again 1. It will read x is 1. Okay. Y also will be read, but there's nothing to do with the y here. So x is 1. Still if condition will be skipped. Nothing will happen. So nothing will happen means we don't switch off the LED as well. We cannot switch off the LED. We don't have any line that says digital write 31 low. So LED will not be switched off. LED will not be switched on. So what will happen? The last state of the LED will be remaining. So what is the last state of the LED? When you pressed it one time, it was on. So the same state LED will stay. It will not be switched on newly in the new loop, or in the new loop it will not be switched off because we didn't write anything to switch it off. So since it was on one time, even though if you have taken your hand off, LED will remain in the last state. What is the last state? It is on. Do you understand this very clearly, guys? So this is something you have to understand very clearly in the Arduino. If you don't understand this, then you will struggle in future. So if you don't understand, just hold the video here, go back from the zero, from the beginning of the video, and rewatch it. Okay. So now we have done a scenario. That means if you press the button one time and even if you take your hand off, the LED will going to be staying at on state, because you switched it on one time and you never write a line to switch off the LED, because you have given the chance to the other button. Which one? Which button? This button. Okay. So you are going to write that code. Until then, LED will not be off. So that means this on button, that x value for the on button, okay, x is for on button, have only one capacity. What capacity? It can switch on that LED if you press it. It cannot do anything else whether you press it or not. It cannot do switch off. It cannot switch off the LED even if you take your hand off. It doesn't have that capacity. It can only switch on the LED when you press it. If you take it off, nothing will happen. If you again press it, nothing will happen. That means again press it, it will again on. That means on will be there. So don't worry about that. It has only the capacity to switch on. It cannot do anything else. That is what we wanted, right? When you press it, it should be switching it on. If you take it off, no, nothing should happen. It should stay on because we have a separate button for switching off. Now let's write the part and see. Okay. So this is, this thing you should think, right? And find out, this is how I have to do. Okay. So now what I have to do is I have to write the Y pin, Y value, that means off button, the related logic for that I have to write now. So what I feel is I'm going to write another if condition. Let's not do anything, just write another if condition. If, okay, again, Y is equal to off button part, okay, equal to what? If the Y button is pressed, I have to switch off the LED. So again, this is also input pull up. So this is the Y button, this off button. It is pressed. What will happen? The pin number 35 will become 0. Sorry guys. Initially 35 is at 5 voltage. If you press the off button, Y value, that means off button. So the pin number 35 will become 0. That means ground. That is so obvious. Okay. So pressed means Y value will become 0. Y value is, what is Y value? That is a value of the pin number 35. Okay. So Y will become 0 if you press it. And what you should do, you have to switch off the LED here. Why? When you press the off button, it should switch off the LED. So I will write digital write 31 because LED is always in 31 low. You see, now I have added that part, but under which condition? Under only the condition, only if the off button is pressed, please switch off the LED. Otherwise, don't do anything, stay in the previous state. You understand what I'm telling? That is totally cool, right? So now these are the exclusive ways of doing the things. If you press the on button, we can switch on. If you take your hand off, take the hand off, this will be skipped because this if condition will not run, but LED will remain in the last state. Same, if I press the off button, this will become true and LED will be switched off. You take my hand off, what will happen? This is also not pressed because on button also I am not pressing, off button also now I took my hand off. So both will become 1 because if the button is not pressed, this input value will become 1, you know that. So this also false, this also false. So nothing will run. Again the empty code will run here, line number 21. This both will be skipped. So then what will happen? LED will remain in the previous state. What is the previous state? Low, because I switched it, pressed it one time and took my hand off. So since I pressed it, this was made low, off. So after that, even since both are false, in every iteration, this both if condition will not run. So none of the if condition will run. So empty code will be running and it will stay in the last or previous state of the LED. What is the previous state? Low. Last time it was off. I didn't switch on it again because nothing is true. I didn't switch off it again because nothing is true. Nothing is going to implemented. None of the if condition will be implemented. So it will remain in the since there is empty code, it will remain in the previous state. That's all. So it's very beautiful, right? The coding and the way it works. These are really nice. Right? So if you don't understand, I am asking you to watch the video from the zero and come to this 6 minutes and 40 seconds so that you can understand it very clearly. So try to understand thoroughly. This is very important, guys. So and I want you to validate whether you also write the same scenario. There may be a slight different code you can write for the same purpose, but still that should go with the same explanation. Okay. So check yourself and check the functionality of the code as well. Okay. So now we can simply check. Let's say at the initial state LED will not be on anyway. Okay, initially. So we will read this. These both are high values because you didn't press the button. So both pins 33 and 35 both will be high 1. So this if condition will also not run. This if condition will also not be implemented. So nothing will happen. LED will stay off. So suddenly you press this pin number. On button you press. Okay. When you press the on button, X becomes 0. So this if condition will switch on the LED. And you take your hand off. Okay, so anyway, this is not true because Y is not pressed, so Y value is 1. So this will not be implemented. So you took your hand off, LED is on one time. Okay, so then the next iteration starts. You have already taken your hand off. So this digital read will return 1 to X because you took your hand off. So X is 1. So we will come and check. No, it's false. X is 1. Okay, nothing will happen. Y, we never pressed Y, so this is also false. Y is also 1. So nothing will happen. Empty code will be running until you press something else. So since empty code is running, the LED will remain in the last state or previous state. What is the previous state? It is on because we have already pressed one time and make it on. So it will stay in that state, previous state, because we didn't do anything else after that. Code have no chance to implement any of this if condition after that. So it will remain in the previous state that was on. That means if you press the on button one time and you took your hand off even, LED will be on. So if you want to switch off, what you have to do, again you press the Y button, off button. Okay, that means the next button, this button. So if you press this button, again what will happen? Because while loop is going to keep running, so during some iteration when you are pressing it, this will be read and Y will make 0 while X is 1. Okay, Y value will become 0. So this will be skipped because X is 1, false, but Y is 0, so this will be done. So LED will be made off regardless of the previous state. It will be off. Now it will come out here, and let's say you took your hand off from the off button. Okay, so now you are not pressing the X as well. You took hand off from the Y as well also. Okay, so now both are 1. X is also 1, Y is also 1 because you are not pressing any of them. So both if condition will be false. So nothing will happen. Okay, and LED will be in the previous state. Empty code is there, so LED will be in the previous state. Now what is the previous state or last state? Off. So LED will be off. Okay, like that you can again press X and see what happens. Again press the on button and see what happens. Okay, so this is very simple, I guess, since you understood that. Just follow me up in the next video, guys. I will further explain.